what are your hopes for this forthcoming 2022 season for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Quarterback of the future is a big one. And I think taking inventory of what you have on offense with that to supplement that, if that makes sense. So I would like, if Mitch Trubisky is the guy, right? Say Mitch Trubisky ends up doing a great job and he's the guy. I think we'll know that at the end of this season. If he ends up playing every single game and the Steelers make the playoffs and we don't see any of Kenny Pickett, I think we can say, all right, you know what? Maybe there'll be a quarterback battle again next season, but at least you're secure in what you have in Mitch Trubisky. If it's Kenny Pickett, week 4, week 9, by week 9, last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, I would just like a little clarity there. What I hope doesn't happen is there's the back and forth. Mitch plays for 2 or 3 games, then Kenny comes in for 3 or 4 games, then they go back to Mitch. I would like to have a little bit more clarity about the quarterback situation going forward. And with that, the Steelers, look, they've spent more money on their defense than anybody in the NFL. They've got guys at every age in terms of Cam Hayward's a veteran, right? You've got TJ Watt in the prime of his career. You've got Minkah Fitzpatrick, who, is in the prime of his career, but is still really young, too, still on his rookie deal. You're kind of set on defense in terms of all of those young guys, veterans, leadership, guys who could grow into that leadership role. On offense, though, all those questions I feel like are still up for grabs. Yeah, you invested some money on the offensive line in the offseason, but you paid Chooks, you brought in Mason Cole and James Daniels. Are those 3 kind of your blueprint for the future, your foundation for the future, right? Or could there still be some more movement there? Pat Freiermuth, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. Let's see what they've got this season, right? Particularly, I think, for Deontay and for Chase Claypool, and figuring out if you want them to be part of the next 4, 5, 6 years, this next era of Steelers football. Obviously, you know what you got in Najee, and I think we all know what we've got in Pat Freiermuth as well, too. But for me, it's the quarterback situation. I really hope we go to this offseason and we have clarity on the future of the quarterback position. And with that, like I said, too, you're in a new era for this offense. Ben Roethlisberger is gone. Matt Canada has fully got the reins, right? Pouncey and DeCastro and a lot of these longtime Pittsburgh Steelers are gone as well, too. Which guys on that, because they're all young, and that's good, right? And we love that. But which ones are you getting married to, right? Like, which ones are you putting a ring on it and keeping them for this next era of Steelers football? And which ones are you looking at and saying, you know what? We probably still need to go out and draft a guard early here. You know what? We might want to go out and draft a wide receiver again. Not necessarily first round, but we might want to add another wide receiver to this group. Maybe we need to add one more tight end where, it's okay, Zach Gentry didn't have the year that we thought he was going to have. Just for me, I want more clarity. I realize that this is a fresh chapter this year. And I think there'll be some good moments, and I think there'll be some tough moments. They'll have some games where it all comes together and clicks, and they're a lot of fun to watch, and they get some big wins. I think they'll also have some really frustrating games as well, too, and some of those growing pains that young teams have. But that offensive unit is so young. If Kenny Pickett's your starting quarterback, Chooks Okorafor is your oldest starter on the offense. And he's just coming off his rookie deal. He just signed that contract. It's either going to be Trubisky or Chooks, and those guys are 25 and 26 years old. So it's a young offense. Who's coming with you, right? Who is, when you turn the page and start really writing this next chapter of Steelers football, who are those foundational pieces on the offense? Who's the Heath Miller and the Hines Ward and the Alan Faneca and the guys that you know you're going to ride with for the next 6, 7, 8 years? That's what I hope we know by January or February.
Wes, I have one final question, and then I think Owen can start to wrap it up. Do you do radio? Are you into radio?
I'm talking way too. I feel like I'm talking. I hope you guys didn't have a bunch more questions.
You're getting me pumped up, dude. Yeah. I am so ready for this season. What you just said is a video in itself. I'm ready.
I love it. It's going to be a different season. I mean, it's the first time in 18 years we're asking questions about the quarterback. Yeah. There's been a lot of changes to the staff on both sides of the football. And with this, your general manager, Kevin Colbert, who was with the organization for 2 decades as well, too. If you think from ownership to general manager to head coach to quarterback, the 4 kind of, cornerstones of an organization, before this year, you had 1 change there since 2007, and that was when Bill Cowher retired and you hired Mike Tomlin. But you've had Tomlin for 15 years, Roethlisberger for 18 years, Kevin Colbert for 2 decades. Like, all of a sudden, they've still got a lot of stability, but there's a lot of new faces. So, like I said, I expect some really fun Sundays. I expect some really frustrating Sundays. But the thing that I'm excited about is it's going to be a different season than we've had as Steelers fans for a long time. And that might get frustrating. I'm not naive enough to think like that might get frustrating at some points. But I also think, too, fellas, and I think you guys will like this, it's in those moments who you find out who the real fans are and who's really with it, right?
Yeah,
not just when you know you've got a future Hall of Fame quarterback under center and you're more than likely going to make the playoffs before the season even starts, like the Steelers did there for a long time, right? Like it's easy to be a fan when you're having a winning season every year. You know, when losing in the playoffs is a disappointment, like it's pretty easy to be a fan. I think you're going to find out too in your circle and amongst your group who the ones that really care are this year as well too, because there's going to be some testing moments.